Have you ever heard that even the mighty are subject to forces they cannot control? Among opulent halls and shining crowns, rumors persist that the Windsor family bears not only the weight of monarchy, but also an ancestral curse. Centuries of tragic stories, premature deaths, and dark secrets seem to follow their lineage like a persistent shadow, raising questions that defy rational understanding. Welcome to another night where mysteries never sleep. I am Midnight, and this is 7 Nights. Are these tragedies merely the result of unfortunate coincidences, or is there something darker and unseen guiding the fate of this dynasty? The origin of the curse. The story of the supposed curse hovering over the Windsor family predates the creation of this name by centuries. It already starts with that vibe of this is older than it seems, like a family secret no one wants to discuss at Christmas dinner. The beginning of what many believe to be the supernatural weight of the lineage traces back to the 11th century, during the reign of William II, known as Rufus. He was the son of William the Conqueror and ascended the throne after a period of intense family conflict. But William was no ordinary king. His controversial personality and alleged occult practices fueled rumors that he had made a dark pact to secure absolute power. According to chronicles of the time, Rufus had an unusual obsession with astrology and esoteric rituals, which generated distrust even among the closest nobles. Records suggest he attended secret gatherings and maintained contact with figures known for practices linked to the occult. Could it be that, on one of these occasions, he sealed his lineage's fate by seeking supernatural forces to secure his position on the throne? Curiously, William Rufus's death was shrouded in mystery and symbolic interpretations. He was killed in 1100 during a hunt in the New Forest, struck by an arrow. The official theory claimed the shot was accidental, but many questioned the randomness of a king dying in such a peculiar way. At the time, the forest was viewed as a place laden with spiritual energies, and his death there was interpreted by some as the fulfillment of a curse invoked by the king himself. After his death, the English monarchy faced centuries of instability. Rufus's descendants were often involved in bloody conflicts, many resulting in family tragedies. Some of these tragedies were seen as inevitable punishments for past pacts. The lineage appeared marked by an invisible force, always accompanied by premature deaths and internal divisions. In subsequent centuries, the legend of the ancestral curse intensified, especially during periods of difficulty for the monarchy. During the reign of Henry VIII, for instance, the decision to break with the Catholic Church and found the Anglican Church was considered by many a spiritual affront that reactivated the curse. Henry himself led a life filled with personal tragedies, with deaths, betrayals, and conflicts defining his court. But was this link between religion and politics another manifestation of William Rufus's dark pact? Moving forward in time, when the Hanover dynasty assumed the British throne, another story surfaced. Rumors claim that one of the family's German ancestors commissioned necromantic practices to gain military advantage. These practices, carried out in secret, supposedly extended the curse beyond British territory. If true, it might explain why the curse seems not only restricted to England, but also affects members of the lineage in other countries. Another intriguing point is that many records that could provide more information about these episodes have been lost or destroyed over time. Fires at the Palace of Westminster and the Tower of London claimed important documents of royal history. Was this mere coincidence, or was someone trying to erase evidence of something that should not be discovered? As years passed, stories of tragedies and family conflicts began to seem more than just accidents or political disputes. The pattern of premature losses and catastrophic events became a recurring theme. While some dismiss these stories as superstitions, others believe there is something undeniably strange about the history of British kings and queens. But one question remains. Are these legends about dark pacts and occult practices historically grounded, or are they mere attempts to explain human vulnerability, even within one of the most powerful families in the world? The enigma of bloodlines. When we think of the Windsor family, it's impossible not to associate them with a history of power and prestige spanning centuries. But behind noble titles and royal pomp lie genetic secrets that many believe hold the key to understanding the true origins of their lineage. Could the curse hovering over them be connected to their own roots, interwoven with myths, beliefs, and perhaps even esoteric practices? The genealogy of the Windsors is rich and complex, tracing back to various noble dynasties and lineages. Officially, the modern royal house was established in 1917 when King George V renamed the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha dynasty to Windsor due to anti-German sentiment during World War I. However, the family's roots run deep into European history, connecting to dynasties like the Plantagenets, the Tudors, and the Stuarts. One of the most intriguing aspects is the supposed connection of the family to the so-called divine lineage. Some theorists believe that certain royal groups, including the Windsors, can trace their ancestry to the so-called sacred bloodlines. These theories were popularized by the book Holy Blood, Holy Grail, which suggests that some European families are direct descendants of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. Could the curse be tied to this mythical connection as a form of punishment or protection for this legacy? Moreover, historical records link ancestral members of the Windsors to secret societies that believed in hereditary power. During the Middle Ages, the British monarchy was closely connected to the Knights Templar, an order that, according to legends, held secret knowledge and sacred relics. Rumors suggest these connections were maintained through generations, passed from father to son as a closely guarded secret. Another interesting point is the royal family's matrimonial alliances. For centuries, marriages between members of European noble families were used to preserve and consolidate power. But were these unions also seen as a way to preserve pure bloodlines? Historically, cousin marriages were common among the nobility, and some historians believe this wasn't just a political matter, but also an attempt to maintain a spiritual or mystical legacy. However, this practice also brought dark consequences. Consanguinity is known to increase the likelihood of hereditary diseases, and the British royal family is not immune to this. Hemophilia, a disease affecting blood clotting, is often associated with Queen Victoria, who transmitted it to several European royal houses. Is this prevalence merely a genetic accident, or could it be seen as a physical manifestation of a curse? Another fascinating element is the Windsor lineage's connection to historical figures involved in esoteric practices. John Dee, a famous occultist and advisor to Queen Elizabeth I, believed the English monarchy was protected by divine forces. He used astrology and alchemy to guide political decisions and reinforced the idea that the royal family was chosen by God. Were these practices attempts to channel protection or a link that could have inadvertently attracted negative energies? Legends about the divine lineage of the Windsors become even more mysterious when we consider accounts of marks or signs associated with family members. Some historical accounts mention that certain monarchs had physical characteristics or birthmarks viewed as symbols of their special connection to supernatural forces. While these stories are often dismissed as myths, they continue to fuel the idea that the Windsors carry something unique in their blood. Even in modern times, interest in the Windsors' heredity persists. Prince Harry's marriage to Meghan Markle, a commoner of African-American descent, marked a milestone in the family's history. Some celebrated this as a break from outdated traditions, while others speculated whether it might weaken or transform the lineage. Is the curse adapting to new times, finding new ways to manifest? Finally, there's the question of how the family itself views its roots. While the British monarchy tries to project an image of stability and modernity, reports of private family rituals and ancient customs suggest a deep appreciation for the past. But are these rituals merely symbolic, or an attempt to balance forces beyond human control? The enigma of the Windsor family's bloodlines is not just a matter of history or genetics. It is a mosaic of myths, beliefs, and secrets spanning centuries, challenging conventional understanding. Is this lineage truly unique, or are the stories surrounding it a projection of our own anxieties and fascination with power? Macabre secrets and tragedies of the Windsor family. Over the centuries, the Windsor lineage has accumulated an impressive history of tragic events and inexplicable occurrences. If it were just tragedy, we might call it normal life. But inexplicable? That's when it gets interesting. Although many of these incidents can be attributed to the pressure and complexity of royal life, the recurring pattern of disasters raises questions about a possible connection to the legends of a curse. After all, how long can coincidences be dismissed before they become suspicious? One of the most emblematic cases occurred in 1937, when Princess Alice, Queen Victoria's great-granddaughter, began reporting paranormal experiences. Alice was known for her intelligence and charisma, but her mental health had always been fragile. For years, she claimed to hear voices and see spectral figures, alleging that these spirits brought dark messages about her family's fate. Although diagnosed with schizophrenia, many close to her believed her visions were genuine, especially after a tragedy in 1937. Her daughter Cecily died in a plane crash along with much of her family. Another tragic event that fueled rumors of the curse was the mysterious fire at Windsor Castle in 1992. The fire destroyed much of the structure and several priceless artworks. Interestingly, 1992 was described by Queen Elizabeth II as an annus horribilis due to a series of disastrous events that struck the family that year, including separations, public scandals, and financial losses. But the fire at the castle was especially symbolic. Was it merely an accident or a sign of something deeper? The tragedies don't stop there. Perhaps the most notorious and impactful case for contemporary audiences is the death of Princess Diana in 1997. Diana, known as the People's Princess, had a unique connection with the masses and a tense relationship with the monarchy. Her death in a car accident in Paris sparked countless conspiracy theories. Many believe she knew too much about the crown's dark secrets, and that her death was not an accident, but a calculated execution to protect the royal family's image. Even before Diana, Queen Victoria, one of the most iconic figures of British monarchy, faced a series of devastating personal losses. Of the 9 children she had, several died prematurely or led lives marked by scandal and illness. Victoria often expressed in her diaries a sense of living under a kind of spiritual burden. Did she also believe in the existence of a curse? The royal residences, such as Windsor Castle and Buckingham Palace, also have their dark stories. Guards and staff report sightings of ghostly figures and inexplicable phenomena. One of the most famous accounts is that of the ghost of Queen Elizabeth I, seen multiple times in the castle's corridors. Are these apparitions merely figments of imagination, or could they be manifestations of residual energy tied to the family's traumatic events? Even more intriguing is the Windsor's relationship with secret societies. Historical documents reveal that family members had connections to occult orders, such as Freemasonry, since the 18th century. While these associations may be common among nobility, involvement in rituals and esoteric ceremonies has always sparked suspicions that the family might be attempting to manipulate or confront forces beyond human control. A curious detail is that the tragedies surrounding the Windsors are not limited to direct family members. Close associates, such as intimate friends and advisors, have also been struck by fatal events. In 1979, Lord Mountbatten, Prince Philip's uncle, was assassinated in an IRA bombing. This event not only shook the family, but was also seen as another piece in the puzzle of disasters that surround them. Why do these tragedies seem to follow the Windsor family so closely? Are they merely consequences of high public exposure and political complexity, or is there something darker and uncontrollable at play? Despite so many questions, few answers are provided. The monarchy's silence on these stories only fuels speculation. But perhaps this is the true secret of the Windsor family, surviving the weight of their legends while keeping the mystery intact. Shadows in the castle, supernatural phenomena. Within the ancestral walls of Windsor Castle, one of England's most iconic buildings, lie not only tales of power and tradition, but also disturbing accounts that fuel the legends of a supernatural connection to the royal family. The castle, dating back to the 11th century, is one of the oldest in the world still in use and, according to many, one of the most haunted. But what is true in these stories? And more importantly, what might they reveal about the supposed Windsor curse? Reports of inexplicable phenomena in Windsor Castle date back centuries. Of course, massive, history-filled castles. Ghosts just have to be part of the package. Guards and staff often speak of footsteps echoing through stone corridors, even when no one is present. Doors opening and closing on their own, whispers in empty rooms, and sudden drops in temperature are common events, according to witnesses. Are these merely the product of the castle's heavy historical atmosphere, or is there something darker at play? Among the spirits most frequently cited is that of Queen Elizabeth I. Accounts describe a majestic figure, dressed in period clothing, walking the corridors with firm steps as if still in control of the kingdom. Staff claim her presence is accompanied by a distinctive floral fragrance that vanishes as quickly as it appears. But why would she return? Is it to watch over her lineage or to warn of impending dangers? Another famous spirit associated with the castle is that of Henry VIII. He is said to be often heard grumbling and dragging his feet, reminiscent of the debilitated state in which he ended his life. His spirit, however, seems less serene than that of Queen Elizabeth. Could Henry be a victim of the weight of his own actions, or does his presence suggest something disturbing in the very ground of the castle? Beyond monarchs, Windsor Castle is also associated with apparitions of soldiers and servants who died in service. Guards report seeing uniformed figures patrolling the grounds, disappearing into thin air when approached. Some of these accounts coincide with locations where past armed conflicts occurred, reinforcing the idea that the castle is not just a symbol of power, but also a receptacle of traumatic memories. One especially famous case involves the so-called haunted room, an area of the castle sealed off for many years due to persistent reports of paranormal activity. Those who entered the room speak of feeling an overwhelming presence, hearing indistinct voices, and in some cases, experiencing disturbing visions. What could have happened there to generate such negative energy? Inexplicable phenomena are not restricted to Windsor Castle. Buckingham Palace, another royal residence, is also a target of supernatural reports. One of the best known is the ghost of a monk who was executed on the site before the palace was built. This ghost is often seen in the gardens, silently wandering under the moonlight. Could these spirits be linked to the supposed curse that looms over the Windsor family? Paranormal experts suggest that places with a strong emotional charge, such as castles and palaces, tend to absorb the energies of the events that occurred there. In Windsor's case, its long history of wars, betrayals, and family tragedies could have turned it into a focal point for supernatural manifestations. But not everyone believes that these manifestations are merely echoes of the past. Some theorists speculate that the phenomena in the castle may be signs of something more direct, an active presence that influences or even protects the royal family. Why would so many spirits be so closely connected to the Windsor lineage? Could this be a manifestation of the supposed curse, or an attempt by invisible forces to balance the family's destiny? There are also those who believe that the phenomena are fueled by the very attention they receive. According to this theory, the emotional and spiritual energy of the living can reinforce and amplify paranormal presences. Could the Windsors themselves, by residing in the castle and carrying their own anxieties and secrets, be perpetuating these supernatural events? Despite all the skepticism, the accounts persist, and the mystery surrounding the manifestations in Windsor Castle remains intact. Whether the product of imagination, historical weight, or something truly supernatural, the castle is undoubtedly more than just a royal residence. It is a place where past and present seem to intertwine in ways that defy comprehension. Do you believe these phenomena are merely stories created to fuel fascination with the royal family, or is there something deeper happening within these ancestral walls? The timeline of conspiracies. Since the first rumors of a curse began circulating, the Windsor family's history has been continuously intertwined with conspiracy theories spanning centuries. If there's one thing everyone loves, it's a good conspiracy. Mix that with royalty, and voila, you've got a historical soap opera. In every era, the tragic events and secrets of the monarchy seem to inspire new speculations. But when we organize these conspiracies into a timeline, a disturbing pattern emerges, suggesting that perhaps these tragedies are not as random as they seem. 1100, the mysterious death of William II, Rufus. The timeline begins with one of the most controversial episodes in British history. William II, also known as Rufus, was killed by an arrow while hunting in New Forest. Officially deemed an accident, many historians believe his death was a political assassination, while others argue it was the first indication of a curse on the royal lineage. After all, why would a king be killed in a place as symbolically charged as an ancient forest, considered sacred by many? 1536, the execution of Anne Boleyn. Moving forward to the reign of Henry VIII, we find another dark milestone on the timeline. Anne Boleyn, Henry's second wife, was executed on charges of treason, adultery, and incest. Some suggest that the circumstances of her death were orchestrated by both political and supernatural forces. It is said that she herself cursed the king and his descendants while awaiting execution. Henry, in turn, faced a series of family tragedies after her death, fueling rumors of a curse on the monarchy. 1605, the Gunpowder Plot. In the early 17th century, the monarchy faced one of the boldest attempts at its destruction, the Gunpowder Plot. Guy Fawkes and other conspirators planned to blow up Parliament during a session attended by King James I. Although the plan was foiled, many believe that this conspiracy was more than a political act. Some suggest the attack was a symbolic ritual, intended to break the spiritual power of the king and weaken the royal lineage. 1810, the madness of George III. In the early 19th century, King George III succumbed to an illness that led to madness, an episode that deeply marked the history of the monarchy. While George's condition is often attributed to porphyria, conspiracy theories suggest that his illness was a spiritual punishment or even the result of deliberate poisoning. Why would a king known for his religious devotion and integrity be the target of such a devastating affliction? 1936, the abdication of Edward VIII. In the 20th century, one of the monarchy's greatest crises was the abdication of Edward VIII. He relinquished the throne to Mary Wallace Simpson, an American divorcee. The abdication was not just a political scandal. It fueled theories that occult forces were at play. Some believe Wallace had ties to secret societies, or that the couple was manipulated by larger interests to weaken the crown at a critical moment. 1997, the death of Princess Diana. Few events in the monarchy's recent history have generated as many conspiracy theories as the death of Diana, Princess of Wales. The car crash in Paris was attributed to various causes, from paparazzi negligence to security failures. However, many believe her death was orchestrated to protect royal secrets, especially as Diana had hinted she might expose compromising information about the inner workings of the monarchy. 2019, the withdrawal of Harry and Meghan. The withdrawal of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from royal duties was a recent milestone that brought new theories to light. Allegations of racism, media manipulation, and internal family tensions created a perfect storm for speculation. Some theories suggest the couple was forced out by deeper threats, perhaps related to secrets they might reveal about the family. 2023, the investigation of lost historical documents. Although less well-known, a recent investigation has uncovered evidence of historical documents related to the Windsors that reportedly disappeared during the 1992 Windsor Castle fire. Some believe these documents might have contained evidence of occult practices or compromising details about the royal lineage. Were these files destroyed accidentally, or were they intentionally eliminated to protect a dark secret? The legacy of the curse. The idea of a curse spanning generations might seem like fiction, but when we examine the legacy of the Windsor family, it is hard to ignore the patterns of tragedies and mysteries surrounding their history. This legacy, often interpreted as a symbol of strength and resilience, also carries a persistent shadow, leading many to question whether the events are mere coincidences or something darker at play. One of the most striking characteristics of the supposed curse is how it seems to affect every generation without exception. From the oldest monarchs to the youngest heirs, stories of premature losses and scandals not only continue, but seem to intensify as the family modernizes. Could this be a form of the curse adapting to contemporary times? In recent years, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have become the focus of attention, not only for stepping away from royal duties, but also for revealing internal family tensions. Their departure was accompanied by statements indicating deep divisions and unresolved issues. Many wonder, are these tensions merely a reflection of modern pressures or another chapter of the curse in action? Another intriguing aspect of this legacy is how tragedies seem to coincide with decisive moments in British history. For instance, during World War II, the family faced a wave of criticism for their apparent sympathy with the Nazi regime. Historical documents reveal that Edward VIII, who abdicated the throne, held meetings with Adolf Hitler, something that remains one of the monarchy's greatest scandals. This behavior was seen by many as a moral failing of the family, while others suggest it could be yet another symptom of the malignant influence accompanying the lineage. Beyond human tragedies, there are also events that directly impact the symbols of royal power. The fire at Windsor Castle, the assassination of Lord Mountbatten, and financial scandals associated with the crown are just a few examples of how the weight of this curse seems to extend beyond individuals, affecting even the structures that represent the monarchy. And what about their relationships with society? The Windsor family's connections to public figures and controversial institutions frequently raise questions that fuel the narrative of the curse. Why do so many people close to the family seem to be struck by tragic events? Is this merely a reflection of an intensely scrutinized public life, or do these relationships suggest something deeper and more disturbing? A fascinating, and perhaps the most mysterious point, is how the family continues to thrive and maintain its relevance despite all these adversities. Could this be proof of their unshakable strength, or is there something behind the scenes, some sort of hidden balance, ensuring the monarchy remains standing? After all, how is it possible for an apparently cursed lineage to retain so much power and influence? Conspiracy theorists argue that the curse, if it exists, is not merely a punishment, but also an exchange. They believe the Windsor family may be using the weight of dark events to perpetuate their presence in the collective imagination, thus ensuring they are never forgotten. This might seem absurd, but when we observe how the monarchy reinvents itself amid crises, it is hard not to consider the possibility. On the other hand, some claim that all of this is nothing more than exaggerations created by the crown's detractors. The life of any public figure is subject to scrutiny, and with that comes stories that can be distorted. But could the succession of tragedies and scandals simply be a series of coincidences? The legacy of the Windsor curse is ultimately a reflection of human complexities. It blends history, legends, and a healthy dose of superstition. And it is precisely this that makes this narrative so irresistible. The possibility that even in a rational and modern world, invisible forces might still influence the destinies of such powerful people. But does the curse truly exist, or is the real burden the family carries that of impossible expectations and universal human stories? The history of the Windsor family is a fascinating mosaic of power, tragedy, and mystery. From the origins of their lineage to contemporary events, each chapter of their trajectory seems intertwined with forces that defy logic. Whether it's legends of ancient pacts, the secrets of their haunted properties, or the conspiracy theories that never cease, the truth remains hidden beneath layers of human stories and supernatural legends. This story is just one piece, and one day, we might see the whole puzzle. If this made you think too, subscribe and like the video. It helps the channel grow. Don't forget to share, because more voices mean more discoveries. If you've made it this far, it's because something in this mystery captivated you. But I bet you haven't seen everything yet. Click on the next videos now to continue your journey into the unknown. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe so you don't miss the next secrets I'm about to reveal. But be careful, once you step inside, there's no turning back.